Hi everyone, this is Brendan Patrick, joined by none other than calling champion Hayden Dale, and this is our spoiler video. So we're pretty excited. But before that, we just want to announce that after this video, starting tomorrow, we're going to be launching our new podcast called Arsenal Pass. We're shooting for weekly podcast uploads every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I think that's 11 Australian Standard Time and 1 p.m. New Zealand. And Hayden, why don't you tell the viewers what they can expect?
Yeah, for sure. So, as Brendan said, we've got our podcast Arsenal Pass launching tomorrow. The main thing for us is really to get some weekly content around Flesh and Blood strategy. We'll have weekly topics, around leveling up. We've got guests coming on to join us, and really just to provide a bit of insight and commentary on events happening around the world, and what we're seeing from meta games as they develop. Obviously, Monarch dropping in just 2 weeks, so yeah, super excited for that. We hope you enjoy what we've got for you and you find as useful and enjoyable as we've had fun pouring our sort of efforts into it and getting it ready for you. So again, you can find the first episode of Arsenal Pass on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and right here on YouTube. The first episode actually will be out just after this video drops, so look out for that. But enough of that. Should we get on to our preview card, Brendan? Let's
get into it. All right. Shadow Runeblade, baby.
Yeah, Shadow Runeblade. So Dimensional Crossroads is our preview card. It's a yellow, so 2-pitch card, costs 2 for Shadow Runeblade Action Aura. It's a Majestic. So I've actually had 2 Majestics back-to-back, crew and then in this, so pretty excited. What it does, so Dimensional Crossroads has Go Again. And when you play an attack action card or a non-attack action card from the Banished Zone, if you haven't played another card of that type, so if you haven't played another attack action or non-attack action, when you play one of those card types, you actually deal 1 damage to target hero, 1 arcane damage. So, you can start to stack these up, deal some damage, and then the bottom text is, if you lose life during your turn, you have to destroy Dimensional Crossroads. So, Brendan, what's your kind of first impressions upon seeing this card?
Well, it blocks for 3, so that's another great part. But when I first see this, the first thing that kind of came to mind is, we're looking for the Shadow Runeblade hero to have some sort of evasion around Blood Debt. So what we know so far is that Blood Debt is going to apply to cards that go into your Banished Zone. And the cost for having cards in your Banished Zone that have Blood Debt is you're gonna take a loss of life for each one every turn. So we see with Levia, the Shadow Brute, that she's able to put a 6 cost into her Banished Zone and then not pay Blood Debt that turn. So looking at this card and seeing that kind of second paragraph, if you lose life during your turn, destroy Dimensional Crossroads, alludes to the fact that the Shadow Runeblade class must have a way to sort of avoid that Blood Debt cost, right, and not take damage on their turn. Obviously, there's going to be other ways to take damage on your turn. That you could be Reckless Swinged, you could get hit by arcane damage at instant speed by Kano, but mostly it's going to be about managing that Blood Debt zone. And if we kind of pull it back even more and we look at the card Eclipse, right, the fabled, it's a legendary. Yeah. So the legendary card for what we assume is going to be the Shadow Runeblade class, Shane, you're going to, it wants you to play 6 Blood Debt cards at a turn. Is that correct?
Yeah, 6 Blood Debt cards in one turn. Yep.
Yeah, so surely to pull off a combo like that, you're going to be utilizing both your hand and this Banished Zone that you've built up over the game. So looking at that, it's kind of weird. It's because those cards, if we think about Eclipse and then Dimensional Crossroads, it's a bit contradictory, right? Like Dimensional Crossroads, you want to be managing the Blood Debt, maybe not having too many in there, and also avoiding the cost constantly. But to cast Eclipse, you're going to want to having probably multiple cards in there that you're going to cast and have Go Again to pull off this large combo. But for Dimensional Crossroads, the initial thing I think is you're going to be wanting to get multiple copies on the board and manage that Blood Debt, maybe have more of a control type of strategy is immediately what I think. What do you think, Hayden?
Yeah, definitely. It's even right here in the little blurb that LSS provide with the cards. So I'm just going to quickly read that out as well. Maintain the gateway and harness to influence, amplify your dark powers, dealing extra arcane damage each turn. Carefully manage cards with Blood Debt in your Banished Zone. So there's those words managed, right? There's a bit of a hint there. so that Dimensional Crossroads remains in the arena for as long as possible, and then apply immense pressure to opponents with multiple copies. So, I mean, you stack up 3 copies of these, you can potentially be offering up 6 damage per turn. And I think something important to remember is that those cards coming from your banish zone, those aren't cost of cards in hand, right? So you're effectively getting, anywhere up to 6 damage presenting to your opponent for free. So you can, it's a pretty powerful effect, right? I think the challenge is going to be, how do you keep this card around? So that blood debt management. And what does your deck makeup look like to make that happen? I think one of the kind of the main questions I have, and I'm excited to see what the spoilers are coming this week, next week, is what are the non-attack actions for Shadow that you can actually play out of Banish? So we've seen Tome so far, but the Tome of Torment doesn't have Go Again, right? So how do you then link multiple of these cards together out of your Banish zone to sort of trigger Dimensional Crossroads effects? I think it's going to be super interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then one important thing to note here is that if you read that second paragraph again closely, it says if you lose life during your turn, destroy Dimensional Crossroads, and the blood debt text actually is a loss of life. So something like Runeblood Barrier cannot absorb your blood debt from the way it's written. So that was kind of the first place my mind went to when I saw this card, was like putting down Runeblood Barrier and then having this large amount of blood debt cards in your banish zone and then just soaking it all up with rune chants. But yeah, I mean, I think the entire idea is to have multiple of these out on the field and just basically be presenting this damage, 2 or 4 or 6, obviously 1, 3 or 5 as well, almost for free to your opponents. So just getting a lot of value by keeping these on the field and not taking damage during your turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I think I see it the same way, right? Like it feels to me more like a kind of control card where, you might be using a lot of your hand defensively, but then on your turn, if you've managed to accumulate 1 or 2 blood debt cards into your banish zone, are you able to then play those out as your sort of your pressure for the turn almost? We've seen Ghostly Visit, which is the blood debt shadow attack action for 1, red attacks for 4 that you can play out of banish. So that card can be a free attack basically that presents an extra damage with Dimensional Crossroads. And if you have multiple, can you start stacking that up? So is that kind of how the game looks for this Shadow Runeblade class? We've seen in Welcome to Wraith and Arcane and with Crucible, there's so many different ways to build a class. So I'm sure it will be the same as Shadow Runeblade. I'm sure there's multiple ways to build this class for Constructed. Do you think this has much impact in Limited?
In Limited at Majestic, I think it's going to be hard to say at that point, right? Because you're not going to see it too often. When you do, yeah, I do think you will be able to build around it. I do think it will be a decent build around card. But I wouldn't, have it at the forefront of my mind as I enter the format in a sealed, but maybe a draft. It becomes more prevalent, and you can really start to build around this card. At the recording of this video, we haven't seen the Shadow Runeblade hero yet. So one of the things I'm wondering is like also on kind of diverting from gameplay, but is when we look at this art, like is that the Shadow Runeblade hero? There's also been a lot of, I really like the imagery as well, because me and Hayden were talking about this earlier, is that you have this potential Shadow Runeblade class, kind of coming out of this portal or fire, and then LSS has sprinkled in all of the members of Wall Street under him, just cowering in fear.
He's here to get you.
Yeah, but either way, like we said, it's all like the text says as well. It's going to be about managing that blood debt zone, evading that cost, and keeping this on the field as you kind of play through your game and go through your turns.
100%. I'm excited or really interested at least anyway, to see what the Shadow Runeblade hero looks like in terms of, with Levia, we've seen the ability to suppress blood debt. So does the Shadow Runeblade class have something similar with Shane? Or maybe it's a card, maybe there's some cards that can help suppress blood debt on your turn to help you keep Dimensional Crossroads in play. Because I'm just super excited to try and stack multiple of these up in some sort of, control shell and see what happens. The other thing I was thinking, is might we see something that, with Viserai, with the Runeblade class, we know that, you play a non-attack action, you play a Runeblade card, and you get a Runechant token, right? You trigger the effect. So might we see something similar where, with the Shadow Runeblade, you trigger an effect that potentially lets you put cards into banish or something similar. So yeah, just super excited to see what we can do with this card. I think in essence, this card feels like has a ceiling, like it's a reasonably powerful card. It's a yellow, it defends for 3, it's an aura that can stay in play for multiple turns. You can get value out of it, but definitely you have to build around it to get that, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's all for us on the preview card. As you say, we're super excited to see what we get over the next 2 weeks. Obviously, now we've seen, as of today, I'm guessing we've seen Shadow Runeblade, the second hero, revealed, and then we've got 2 light heroes to come. So see what happens there. And again, just a reminder that after this video, the first episode of Arsenal Pass will drop. So check that out. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think, and yeah, hopefully you enjoy it.
Yep.
But that's all from me and Dale.
Yeah, and I would say just in closing, I'd really love to hear your thoughts on where you think the Shadow Runeblade class is going. When this video will be uploaded, we'll likely know what the hero is, but have a lot of the, still a lot of the cards unspoiled. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts, kind of where this class will go, what will be the themes, and what it will be trying to do in both Classic Constructed and Limited. And then after that as well, this is going to probably be the second Shadow hero. So what comes next? What are the light heroes? Is it going to be that light wizard that I'm looking out for, or is it something else? I mean, I'd love to hear the speculations, but just let us know what you think.